Hey, this is Roger Moret from Agnostic Front, and you're watching Aftershock TV.
All right, so next up here, Chris, Category 7, the supergroup featuring John Bush, Phil Demmel, Jason Bitner, Mike Orlando, and Jack Gibson. Now, obviously, these guys were scheduled to do a headlining tour that was, surprise, surprise, canceled due to what else but low ticket sales.
Right.
Now, the first thought I had when I saw that there was a headlining tour going on for Category 7, my first thought was, why? I mean, how could a band that's got no hits, a brand new band, headline a tour and expect to sell tickets in this day and age? You know, listen, in the 80s or 90s, they did a club tour as a brand new band with a couple of decent openers. Sure, I mean, they could have, done a little club tour like that. But, and no offense, listen to the band members, I obviously love all the bands that these guys are in.
Sure, me too.
But I mean, this was never going to happen in today's musical landscape. A band like this you'd have to, in order to make this work, for a band like this to even tour, let alone headline, they'd have to link up with two other well-known bands for it to work. I mean, these guys, and let's be honest too, the guys I just mentioned, if we look at the picture there, and no offense again, I'll say it again, I'm a huge fan of all these guys, but none of these guys are a household name. And neither are the bands, and neither are the bands that they're in. The
closest is obviously John Bush, and
maybe Phil Demmel when he was Machine Head. That's about it.
Yeah, but look, the reason this isn't happening is what you just said. It's a new band. Nobody knows it. Look, we're in the business. Can you name a song, a Category 7 song right now?
Of course not. No way.
It's not. They haven't had a hit. They're not known. Another big problem I think that they come to is they're all active. So people that like John Bush saw Armored Saint in the last 2 months on the Wasp tour. People that a lot of people are going out and seeing Kerry King. Isn't Demmel and Kerry King band? Exodus has been out on tour. And they're so
Overkill with Bitner. Yeah, Shadows Fall's on tour now.
Yeah, Shadows Fall has a new song, and they're out on tour. And I think Bitner actually just left Overkill, but people saw him in the last year or so. I mean, the only one that's really not doing much is Mike Orlando, and even he was just recently. This is a whole other problem I had with Category 7 all by itself was, how do you release a brand new band on top of a brand new band? He would just release that record with Corey Glover.
That's right. Yeah. Well, and listen, I understand. We all know, right? These days, many of these, guys, these musicians have to have another outlet, another band.
Yeah.
Right. That's second. Now, okay, that's great. But again, to think that you're going to go out and headline a tour when no one knows a single song, your brand new band. I don't care what supergroup, whatever it is, dude. It doesn't matter. It's not gonna sell.
No.
I think, and as we see, right, with supergroups, right, they're usually like this. I mean, they're usually just projects. There's a lot of times these guys, most supergroups don't even play live, let alone tour.
Sure, or they'll do like an annual thing, like the Metal Allegiance guys. Once a year, they get it together. Which, of course,
shows together.
Some of these guys are in Metal Allegiance too.
I know. I mean, it's like, listen, like if I'm a band like this, like I said, I think, well, for one of the reasons I was thinking, like, why would this band, these 5 guys, decide that they're going to do a full-on tour? Well, I'm sure one of the reasons was they all got together room, and they all probably like each other and get along really well.
Sure.
Right. And as we all know, we've talked to musicians. I mean, that is really one of the hardest things to come by. And I'm sure with these guys, they've already got their main bands. If they're going to do something else on the side, you're going to want it to be with people that you actually enjoy being around. Because obviously with their main bands, they're with people that they probably don't enjoy being around, but that's their main, obviously, that's their breadwinner there. That's what, pays the bills. And of course, if you're going to do something a little different and you wanted something, a secondary sort of project or band, to do it with 5 guys who all get along and enjoy being with each other, that's great. And, and look, the songs are good, and we've heard their songs, and they're good.
Great record.
I mean, really heavy. I mean, it's good stuff. But I think what you got to do first, okay, if you're going to do that, you've got to do what some of these bands, like I'll just, I'll lose a couple of bands. One, I mean, they don't really play live, obviously. They're not really as big as these guys are, but I look at a band like Patriarchs and Black, you know, they got their 4th album coming out this year, and they've only been around for 4 years. So what they're doing is she's stacking up a shitload of songs and piling a catalog for yourself where people can go, okay, I've got 4 albums to look into. Okay, there's obviously a full plate now of music, not just, well, here's one album we just put out, let's go tour, headline tour, and we're going to sell tickets. It won't work.
Sure.
And you know, another band, like I said, it's doing the same thing. The guy Bob Ballard's from Fu Manchu, he does 2 of the bands, Slower, which is like a Slayer cover band where they do a Doomy, and then also Big Scenic Nowhere, which is like a super group in that world, where those guys have had 3 albums out. They've only played live a couple of times, but again, do the festivals. Category 7 should be doing the festivals.
Yeah.
Putting out a record every year of just 6 to 8 songs, building up a catalog, and then slowly, if you guys still enjoy working with each other, go out and maybe try to do a co-headlining tour with someone. But the headliner tour, I just think it was silly to begin with, man.
Well, they had one chance to do it, and they didn't take advantage of it. And the only chance they had to do, because let's face it, they only have 10 songs. So they're going to do a headlining tour, they're going to have to play covers, and more than likely they'll play covers from their catalogs. This was the place that John Bush should have announced I'm going to play those Anthrax songs that we don't play anymore.
Yeah, good point.
Because if they would have done that, and I can see Room for One More and Only, and you know those songs, We've Come for You All, those songs performed with Phil Demmel and Mike Orlando playing guitar.
Agreed.
Yeah, I'm in.
Sure.
I'm in. Take my money. You'll have that, and you could play 4 of those songs, and play an Exodus song and play a Machine Head song. I'd love to hear John Bush take on a Machine Head song. That would be interesting.
No, it would be. I don't know if he could do it, but
well, he probably he could in his own way. I mean, it would
his
be
own way, sure.
It would be his own style. But what I'm saying is, if I knew I was going to hear things that I knew. And especially with how many years have we talked about this John Bush Anthrax music, and he's rumored to be putting together a band to tour, and we've been hearing that shit for 5 fucking years. This is the moment. This was the moment. You want to establish your band? Go out there and play the songs people want to hear that the other guys in Anthrax won't let us hear, and mix in these songs too. Give us 8 of these songs, 4 of the Anthrax songs. An Overkill song and an Exodus song, and now you got a show.
Yeah,
a show that's probably worth $30. I'd go see that.
No, absolutely. But again, what would that take? Right? That would take time for these guys to work out these songs. And like we said, these guys are all in other bands. Are they going to do it for that? Probably not. There's a reason why those Frontiers bands, those quote unquote supergroup, collaboration types. The reason why they don't play live. Yeah, and they're just projects. And again, I think it's great that a band like this is saying, yeah, we don't want this to just be a project. We'd like to go out and play live. And, but to really think that, you just put out a brand new record and that you're going to sell out shows without really anybody alongside you. I don't know why that would even have been. I mean, that was the writing was on the wall that this thing was going to be canceled unless you played in like really podunk towns where no one really comes through. And, and like you said, though, but you'd have to then say we're going to play some Anthrax and the Exodus songs and so forth. But, is John Bush really going to give up his career with Armored Saint, what he does with the Hollywood stuff, TV and his voiceover stuff? Is he really going to give that up just to go out and start a new band at his age and try to make new fans? No, I mean, it's not going to happen.
No. I mean, if it happened organically, I'm sure he'd consider it. But even then, I don't know that he's going to do it. I mean, I mean, and again, this is a band that's never going to be able to tour consistently because they're all in other bands.
Exactly.
So this is, I mean, it really is it's a sad state of the hard rock and metal world today that this is what we're down to, but this is what we're down to. And
it is.
And again, it's really sad because the music is really good. I'd love to hear it. I personally would love to hear these songs live, but who's giving up what? Is Phil Demmel quitting Kerry King?
Exactly.
No. Is Armored Saints going to stop? No. Is Exodus going to stop? No. Shadows Fall's obviously back together. They're just started back up, so they ain't going to stop.
Exactly.
The only one that doesn't really have anything going on is Mike Orlando. And I get that they're all friends with him, and I get that he's massively talented, but this is not the outlet.
No, it's unfortunately just not going to work the tour. So, you know, put out another record or two and then link up with a couple of the bands, and sure, you got something for sure. But the headline of tour and your first record,
go play
doesn't
Vakken.
matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter how big you are. I mean, dude, even if you know you had bigger like name musicians, if you had, like we were talking about before, you know, Michael Schenker, and you had a bunch of guys coming together, it's going to still be the same thing because you're a new entity catering to people who are into nostalgia.
Yeah,
they're not necessarily, you know, I don't think Exodus and Armored Saint fans are looking for, you know, John Bush or whatever to start a new band, and they're really excited for that. No, they just want to hear a new Armored Saint record and for you to go on tour. No one wants to see anything and hear anything new, really, except for guys like us. We love this kind of shit, but most fans don't. They're just like, stop dicking around with that. Get with your regular band and go out and tour, put out a new record. That's what I want to hear and see.
Right.
And then there's that. Yeah.
No, that's exactly it. And what if I mean, you got to think that 2 or 3 of these guys, their bands are going to be playing at Vakken and Sweden Rock and all that shit next summer anyway. Book the band there. You're all going to be there anyway, you know. So book the band there. Get a 1 o'clock start time. Get out there and mix in some shows and get some video on YouTube and then see if there's any interest in it after that. But yeah, say we're going out in March and we're going to headline 15 shows. Get out of here.
Get out of here. Exactly.
Nonsense.
Absolutely.
I had an interest in music always.
It's always kind of been around me some way, shape, or form.
5 minutes sitting on a drum set, man, change your life.
This is the same black guitar that Marty McFly plays in Back to the Future.
I love the feeling I get in front of the freaking full stack here, just the vibration, there's something to it.
I'm lucky because I do have a little bit of a tap into the Fu Manchu lore, into the Nebula lore. In order to keep things going, you kind of have to like start playing the game a little bit, you know, like the business game.
Everybody has to get through a day-to-day, and how do you exist and how do you get by?
As far as getting people to commit to bands, it's tough to keep a lot together these days, for sure.
Still sleeping on people's floor, that's still a reality.
Probably also playing with some of the best people I've ever played with. The creative juices don't stop. It just keeps going.
For me, it's just finding a balance of how much time I'm spending with my family versus how much time I'm spending working.
It's this validation that what you're doing actually has merit.
Obviously, we're a little long in the tooth, and we've been doing this for a minute, and now we can kind of do what we want. We don't need a record company. I'll do it myself. I'll do it the way I want to.
Just always be cool. Just be respectful. Those are your people. They're connecting to you on some level, even if they don't look like you. It's got to happen, you know, or else I'll go crazy. Go crazy one way or another, you know. I might as well, you know, not go crazy if I can play music. Maybe one day I'll have a Porsche, but, you know, until that day, I'll drive a Chevy.
There you go.
All right?